Every thought you had today was partly decided by what you ate yesterday, not metaphorically, literally. Your breakfast is running your mind right now. 5,000 years ago, texts from ancient India mapped out exactly how different foods change your mental state, your emotional reactions, and even your ability to think clearly. They weren't guessing, they were observing carefully over generations. And today, a field called nutritional psychiatry is proving they were right. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear, practical map of how food affects your mind and a simple way to start using it today. Here's a fact that should stop you cold. About 95% of your serotonin, the chemical most associated with mood, calm, and well being, is produced in your gut, not your brain, your gut. This means the organ that processes your food is also, in a very real sense, running your emotional life. Scientists call the communication line between your gut and your brain the gut brain axis. It's a two-way highway made of nerves, hormones, and chemical signals. What goes into your gut sends constant messages upward. Your brain responds, your mood shifts, your thoughts follow. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Ancient Vedic texts describe something they call the three qualities of nature, three categories that everything in existence falls into, including food. They call these qualities Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Don't worry about the Sanskrit. What matters is what they actually mean. Sattvic foods were described as promoting clarity, lightness, and mental peace. Rajasic foods were said to create stimulation, agitation, and restlessness. Tamasic foods were linked to heaviness, dullness, and a kind of mental fog. That's not mysticism. That's a classification system. And when you lay it next to modern nutritional psychiatry, the overlap is almost exact. Takeaway coming up, but first, understand this. Your food choices are not just a health decision. They are a cognitive decision. Every meal is either sharpening your mind or dulling it. A monk in training 3,000 years ago would wake before sunrise, meditate for 2 hours, then eat a meal of fresh fruit, cooked grains, nuts, and warm milk. This wasn't accidental. The teachers who designed that schedule understood that what he ate in the morning would determine the quality of his mind for the entire day. Sattvic foods, the clarity category, were described as fresh, light, naturally sweet, and easy to digest. Think fresh fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, nuts, seeds, dairy in its natural form, and mild herbs. The ancient text said these foods produce a quiet, alert mind, not sedated, not wired, clear. Now look at what nutritional science says about these same foods. They are high in fiber, which feeds the beneficial bacteria in your gut, the bacteria that produce neurotransmitters including serotonin and GABA, which is your brain's primary calming chemical. They are rich in antioxidants, which reduce neuroinflammation. And neuroinflammation is now one of the leading theories behind depression and anxiety. A 2017 study published in BMC Medicine found that people who switched to a whole food, plant-rich diet saw significant reductions in depression symptoms in just 12 weeks. 12 weeks. The researchers were surprised. The ancient texts would not have been. There's also the digestion factor. Sattvic foods are easy to process. When your digestive system isn't working overtime, your body can direct more energy to the brain. You felt this. You know the difference between how your mind feels after a light meal of fruit and nuts versus a heavy meal of fried food. That difference is real, measurable, and it compounds over time. The practical point here is not that you need to eat like a monk, it's that adding more of these foods, more fresh, whole, lightly processed ingredients, directly supports the brain chemistry behind focus, emotional stability, and mental clarity. Imagine you have a presentation tomorrow that matters. You're already a little anxious. You sit down the night before to prepare, but you can't focus. Your thoughts keep jumping. You feel a low-level irritability you can't explain. You had 3 cups of coffee, a spicy takeout meal, and a glass of wine. That's Rajasic. The ancient texts described Rajasic foods as those that overstimulate the nervous system, producing energy that has nowhere to go, sharpening reactions into reactivity, and turning normal stress into anxiety. Specifically, they pointed to very spicy foods, heavily salted foods, stimulants like caffeine in excess, alcohol, and foods eaten too fast or in excessive quantities. Notice what they were describing. Not poison, not inherently bad, stimulating. The word rajas literally means activity, passion, drive. In small amounts, rajasic foods can sharpen you. The problem is the dose and the pattern. Modern research backs this up precisely. Excess caffeine raises cortisol, your primary stress hormone, and keeps your nervous system in a state of low grade alert. Heavily processed, high sodium foods trigger inflammatory responses that affect the brain. Alcohol, despite feeling like a relaxant, disrupts REM sleep and serotonin regulation, leaving you emotionally flat and cognitively slower the next day. The gut brain axis is particularly sensitive here. Spicy, heavily processed, or chemically dense foods can disrupt the gut microbiome, the community of bacteria responsible for producing those neurotransmitters we talked about. One bad meal won't destroy it, but a consistent pattern of Rajasic eating keeps your nervous system in a state of chronic low level activation. You feel busy but scattered, motivated but irritable, productive on the surface, reactive underneath. This is why the ancient system wasn't about restriction. It was about understanding the effect. If you're going into a high stakes situation and you need sharp, calm focus, that's not the morning for a triple espresso and a spicy breakfast burrito. If you're already anxious, stimulants amplify the signal. There's a specific kind of afternoon where you can't think, not tired exactly, not stressed, just absent, like someone turned the lights down in your mind. You're sitting at your desk, but you're not really there. You had a fast food lunch 2 hours ago. That's Tamasic. The ancient texts describe Tamasic foods as those that create inertia, heaviness, and mental dullness. They listed stale food, heavily processed food, food that has been sitting too long, overcooked food stripped of nutrients, and in their context, meat, particularly red meat eaten in large quantities. The key quality was deadness, food that had lost its vitality, or food so dense it overwhelmed the body's ability to process it efficiently. Translate that to 2024, and you're looking at ultra processed foods. Packaged snacks engineered for maximum palatability with minimal nutritional value. Fast food cooked in industrial seed oils. Refined sugar in everything. The ancient texts didn't have a name for a drive through, but they described exactly what it does to your mind. Here's what the science shows. Ultra processed foods are now directly linked to depression in multiple large scale studies. A 2022 analysis of over 31,000 adults found that people who ate the most ultra processed food had a 33% higher risk of depression than those who ate the least. 33%. That's not a small signal. The mechanism is clear. Processed foods high in refined sugar spike blood glucose rapidly, then crash it, producing the energy dip that feels like brain fog. Industrial seed oils high in omega-6 fatty acids promote neuroinflammation when consumed chronically. And because these foods are low in fiber, they starve the gut bacteria responsible for producing serotonin and dopamine. You're literally underfunding your brain's chemistry lab. The ancient teachers weren't moralistic about Tamasic food. They were practical. They said, if you want a clear mind, don't eat things that create fog. That's not a spiritual rule, that's cause and effect. Here's where this stops being theory and becomes a tool you can actually use. The ancient system was never about perfection. The texts themselves acknowledge that most people eat across all three categories, and that context matters. A warrior going into battle needed Rajasic food, high energy, stimulating. A student preparing for deep study needed Sattvic food, clear and light. A person recovering from illness needed gentle, easy to digest food. The goal was awareness and intentionality, not rigid rules. Modern nutritional psychiatry lands in the same place. The field isn't prescribing one perfect diet. It's showing that the quality and composition of your food has a measurable, direct effect on your mental state, and that you can use that knowledge deliberately. Here's a simple protocol based on both systems. First, anchor your mornings in the clarity category. Your first meal sets the neurochemical tone for your cognitive day. Fresh fruit, whole grains, nuts, eggs, yogurt, foods that digest cleanly and support steady neurotransmitter production. Avoid the sugar spike and crash cycle before your most important work hours even start. Second, treat stimulants as tools, not habits. Coffee isn't the enemy, but drinking it automatically every morning, regardless of what you need that day, means you've lost the ability to use it deliberately. Try one day a week without it. Notice what your baseline actually feels like. Third, make your heaviest, most processed meal the one that matters least. If you're going to eat something dense and hard to digest, make it dinner when your cognitive demands are lower, not lunch before your most important work of the day. Fourth, watch the lag time. Food affects mood and cognition with a delay. What you eat today is partly shaping how you feel tomorrow. The ancient teachers understood this. Modern research confirms it. Your gut microbiome doesn't reset overnight. The choices you make consistently over weeks are the ones that actually determine your baseline mental state. This is what the ancient food mind system was really about. Not rules, not restriction, a map, a way of understanding that your mind is not separate from your body, that what you feed one, you feed the other, and that you have more control over your mental state than you've probably been told. The connection between food, mood, and mental clarity isn't new knowledge, it's recovered knowledge. The people who mapped it out thousands of years ago were working with the same human nervous system you have right now. They just paid closer attention to cause and effect than most of us do today. If this gave you something useful, subscribe. We put out videos like this every week. Ancient frameworks, modern science, practical tools you can actually use. No fluff. And if you have questions about anything we covered today, whether it's the gut brain research, how to apply the three food categories to your specific situation, or anything else, drop them in the comments. I read every single one and I reply, seriously. Finally, if you want to go deeper, there's a free daily mind reset kit linked in the description. It includes a food mood tracking template, a morning clarity protocol, and a few other tools built around everything we discuss on this channel. It's free. Grab it. What you eat tomorrow is going to shape how you think the day after. You might as well choose deliberately.